Honorable ministers, your excellencies, distinguished guests, official delegation representatives, esteemed media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from all across the globe. I am Cynthia Nyamai, and it gives me a great pleasure to welcome you all to the second day of the first digital edition of Africa Unlocked. Remember, the theme this year is innovation and sustainability as the drivers of economic growth. Just before I introduce our guests for this session, just allow me to share a few rules, the conference rules. Once again, for your kind attention, we would like to request for your generous attention and active participation towards this engaging session. If you experience any issues with your video or audio during this session, kindly refresh your browser to address this concern. If you have any questions for our speakers, please do feel free to post your questions in the video wall, which is located on the right side of your screen. Okay, good. Now that I have your attention, let us start the next session. Africa is one continent that is undergoing impressive urbanization. Let's hear from our two distinguished speakers in this field who will present their thoughts on the topic, high-tech urbanization of overpopulated African metropolis, the future possibilities. Well, for our first speaker for this session is Dr. Raf Onyini-Mbuna. He has several publications in peer-reviewed journals such as IEEE Transactions on Intelligent Transportation Systems and IEEE Transactions on Image Processing. In 2016, Dr. Raf Onyini-Mbuna returned to Africa, where he was appointed director of the Universal Service Fund at the RCEP, the Gabon Telecom ICT regulator. In 2019, he joined the Smart Africa's team, where he is presently head of digital transformation, innovation, and services. Current continental flagship projects under his umbrella are digital identity, smart cities, artificial intelligence, blockchain, ICT startups ecosystem, e-government, e-agriculture, e-payment, and other e-services related initiatives. Over to you, Dr. Raf. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. And let me start by saying thank you to the AIM organization for having me here on behalf of the Smart Africa Secretariat. And I'll be happy to share some insight on smart cities in Africa. So if you allow me, I would like to share my screen. If you can enable maybe on the, here we go, now I can. Okay, thank you. Just making sure, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. It's clear.
Thank you, Cynthia. So the presentation of today that I will make today is about high-tech urbanization of the overpopulated African metropolis, the future possibilities. And maybe before I dive into the subject, I will go quickly over a quick presentation of what Smart Africa is as well. So the Smart Africa Alliance was created in 2013 by 7 heads of state that signed the Smart Africa Manifesto. And what those 7 heads of state believe in 2013 is that they believe that the socio-economic development of the continent has to be done through the use of ICT. This manifesto and the Smart Africa Alliance was later on endorsed by the African Union in January 2014. So the leadership of Smart Africa is 32 member states. So we started with 7 in 2013, and now with 32 member states, with 32 heads of states that all sit on the board of Smart Africa, and this is our leadership, as the board is the supreme organ of Smart Africa that takes all decisions and guarantee political will in all the projects that we are developing on the continent. I'm not going to go over all the details here, but Smart Africa has a clear and ambitious vision, which is to transform Africa into a single digital market by 2030. We plan to do it within the 3 focus areas, which are developing affordable digital infrastructure across the continent. Second focus area is to promote and facilitate doing business and investing across Africa. And the third focus area is accelerate the birth and development of a digital society. So here in there, you're going to see all the different initiatives that we working on as Smart Africa, including, of course, smart cities. Then the outcomes, the expected outcomes at the end of this strategy is to have job creation, sustainable development, cashless economy, citizen participation, transparency, trust, and accountability on the continent. Now, I would like now to focus now on smart cities and communities in Africa. I will talk about challenges, progress, and possibilities. Maybe a quick introduction when we look at African cities. I think this problem statement is valid across the world, but more particularly in Africa. 70% of African population will be living in cities by 2050. An African population with 2.5 billions by 2050. So you're going to see all these people moving into cities from rural areas. And this migration will come with specific challenges. Challenges in terms of mobility or transportation. We will need more cars or more buses, but we will need to improve the public transportation system for sure. You have water loss. You also have challenges such as energy consumption, right? All this population coming into the cities will require more energy. You have cost of health and social services. We've seen with COVID how we've seen like a rush of population into the cities and to have healthcare. You also have poverty. And of course, you have pollution cost with the environment that will be deeply affected by this exponential growth in the cities of the populations. So if you look at the situation of African cities and Africa, you're going to see really 10 cities that are doing better than others. Those 10 cities are Accra from Ghana, Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, Alger, Cairo, Casablanca, Johannesburg from South Africa, Kigali, Rwanda, Nairobi, Kenya, Lagos, and Tunis. So these cities are doing exceptionally well compared to other cities within Africa. But let's be honest here, Africa is still lacking behind compared to the rest of the world. But there is no denying that we definitely into this period of urbanization in Africa, placing policymakers under pressure to improve the infrastructure and public services. So Africa should harness the connectivity that exists and develop technopoles into smart cities by taking advantage of what's specific about Africa. And here, what we've seen in Africa is that the mobile money services are extremely developed in Africa, more than anywhere else in the world. We have more than 760 million mobile clients. Also, what we observe in Africa is a rush of tech hubs and a rise of startups, right? So we will have to make use of these specificities and benefits for the development of smart cities in Africa. So what we've done as Smart Africa is we worked with several countries and several cities and several governments and authorities and mayors, etc. And we developed national strategies for the development of smart cities and policy frameworks. And what we observed is that Africa is very diverse. Africa is not one country, it's 54, 55 countries with different realities, although they have some common ground somewhere, but they're still different. For example, in Accra, which is Ghana in West Africa, we ask in a quick survey, what are the top 5 priorities in terms of development of smart cities? These are the results that we had. For Accra, the number 1 is mobility. By mobility, we mean transportation and people going from home to work, these type of things. The number 2 is infrastructure. And by infrastructure, there is also this energy component. And the number 3 is utilities. So then we have 4, which is environment, and 5, which is safety. So this is the top 5 of Accra. If you look at Tunis, the top 5 is slightly different. In number 1, we have e-governance. We have number 2, mobility. Number 3, infrastructure again. Number 4, utilities. And number 5, environment. But the number 1 here is e-governance, because countries in North Africa tend to be a little bit more advanced in terms of cities development than countries in the southern part of Africa. Then we look at East and Central, which is Kigali, Rwanda. We asked them for the top 5. And what they responded is mobility, that came number 1 again, infrastructure, number 3, utilities, number 4, environment, and number 5, services to citizens. So here we have this aspect of public services that came into the top 5, because Kigali, here they really care much about offering the best quality services to the citizens. Then you have Johannesburg in South Africa. We asked the same question. What we had is safety, which came number 1. Then you have mobility, number 2. Then number 3, infrastructure. Number 4, social infrastructure. Number 5, environment. So what did Smart Africa do faced to these priorities of countries and the challenges? We developed what we called the Smart Sustainable Cities Blueprint for Africa. This blueprint was launched May 10 in 2017 by His Excellency President Paul Kagame, who is also the chairman of Smart Africa, and it was launched at one of the Smart Africa board meeting in front of the different heads of state member of Smart Africa. So follow this blueprint, the launch of the blueprint, it triggered like a movement in Africa, in our member state for smart cities, right? So what we've done is that we assisted several countries in the development of the national strategies and policy frameworks when it comes to smart cities, and different pilot projects as well. So Rwanda, we assisted with the development of the Smart City Rwanda Master Plan. Benin, we did the same. Guinea, we did the same. Tunisia, we did the same. And Ghana, we did the same. And all of these are kind of from this blueprint that was launched. The advantage of it is that you have harmonization. And when you have harmonization, when you have an investor coming to one market, it can go to, we can combine now 2-3 markets from 2-3 countries together to make it more attractive. So some examples of pilot project when it comes to smart cities that we've done. This is a pilot project that we've done in Rwanda, in Kigali, which is called the Smart Waste Collection and Management Project. So on the left here, you can see what it was before, right? Rwanda cares about environment. And here you can see the state of the market and of 4 different markets in Kigali. And then you can see how these markets became on the right side. And we have like a system, a monitoring system that is also installed in the city of Kigali for them to track the emptiness of those bins and also look at the safety of those bins. The future African city, what it would look like ideally. Well, at Smart Africa and with our leaders, we believe that the future African city should be connected, should be green, should be clean, safe, resilient, because we've seen with COVID that if like a city doesn't have those services, e-services developed, they're not resilient to crisis, and it should be efficient. So here on the right side, you have also you have a picture, I believe, of Kigali, and you have pictures of what we do as well, which is, of course, we have like a Smart Africa Scholarship Fund to support, because the citizens, right, are at the center of the development of smart cities, and we have also the leadership underneath there. Some smart city domains open for investment. Well, you see it there, like you're going to see like a straight correlation between those different domains and the top challenges presented earlier. Those are the challenges specific or the domain specific to Africa. We talk about city flows and city services. We talk about smart business services. We talk about healthcare. We talk about finances. We also have education that is key, public safety. And on the right side here, you have transportation, again, and mobility. You have smart water and wastewater management. Energy is big, and energy, especially when it comes to the distribution, not only making the energy, but getting the energy from point A to point B to the citizens. Smart air quality also is a very interesting domain to invest in. So with this, I would like to say thank you, and I would take any question if there is. Thank you very much for your attention. And I don't see any questions, so I'm gonna hand it over to Cynthia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Raf Oyinimbuna, for that talk. It was quite insightful, just finding out a little bit more about Smart Africa and some of the projects, and also the opportunities around Africa, the different challenges and needs in the different African countries, and how Smart Africa has been able to come up with solutions in the different parts of Africa. Thank you so much for this session.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to AIM. Thank you very much to you, Cynthia. Thank you.
Okay. So now we want to go into our second speaker, who is Lovemore Nyatsini, who is the Chief Executive of Yaiva Ecologists and E-Logistics, and Chief Executive Officer, Clean City One Africa. He has worked as the CEO of Higher Life Foundation, as well as Chief of Staff to Econaut Group CEO. Lovemore is a hands-on, multi-award winning, result-oriented and experienced leadership, strategy, and transformation executive in the technology, media, and telecommunication sector. He has tri-sector breadth, having worked in business, philanthropy, and impact investment. He has over 20 years experience working in diverse environments, solving problems, managing large-scale projects, experiencing challenging moments, and gainable invaluable experiences in the process. He has worked in a number of countries, including Nigeria, South Africa, Burundi, Kenya, Lesotho, and Zimbabwe in business, mining, philanthropy, and social entrepreneurship, technology, media, and telecom, the TMT sectors. Over to you, Mr. Lavamo Nyatsine.
Thank you very much, Cynthia, for that very kind introduction. And thanks, Dr. Rolf, for the presentation. Very insightful indeed what Smart Cities has been doing. If you can just share my screen, please.
Okay, just a minute.
Thank you. Fantastic. So basically, I'm going to talk on, to build upon what Dr. Rolf spoke about. I think he really gave some very useful insights and set the context for my own presentation, high-tech urbanization of the overpopulated African metropolis, the future possibilities. I will talk very briefly about, the context of the urbanization, the rapid urbanization that we are seeing in Africa. And I'll then move on to some of the things that we have been doing also in that same space and where the opportunities exist. Next slide, please. So basically, that's an overview of my presentation in terms of the outline, what I'll go through. Next slide, please. So the future is clearly urban, and you could tell from what Dr. Rolf said, that we're expecting that 70% of Africans will be living in the urban areas by year 2050. This is a reality. Right now, as we speak, you're looking at about 432 million that are already living in the cities in Africa, and that number is likely to double by 2050. So definitely the future is very much urban. We are seeing a rapid migration of African populations from the rural areas to the urban areas. So this is a reality that we have and that will continue to have for the foreseeable future. Next slide, please. So clearly there is a revolution that's going on there, and it's a very quiet revolution, and this is an urban explosion revolution. So today we have got about 472 million who are living in cities, and as it stands, we expect that number to have gone to 70%, as we heard from Dr. Rolf, in the year 2050. So clearly this is a reality, and it manifests in a number of areas, as we'll see in my next slide, how this problem is actually manifesting. But I want to quickly share in the next slide that you see now that the 30 fastest growing cities in Africa today, or in the world rather today, are actually African cities, and these have a population of about 1 million each. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So the 30 fastest growing cities today with a population of over 1 million, like I mentioned, are already in Africa. So this is a reality, but we are also keenly aware that at the moment, Africa as it stands doesn't actually have infrastructure to cater for this rapid urbanization. This presents challenges, but again, it also presents opportunities in the same vein. Next slide, please. So clearly, the consequence of this urban migration, rapid urban migration, is pressure on amenities and services in these cities. We can see that, for example, Kibera in Kenya today, 700,000 people are actually living in a slum, and they don't have basic amenities like roads. They don't have some of the basic things like waste management. And Dr. Rolf did mention some of those in his presentation. They don't have connected water. I mean, I was in Kibera about 18 months ago, just before COVID. And it was amazing to see how people living in that area with that high population density don't have some of the basics that, some people who take for granted. And we also realized that there's over 130 billion to 170 billion that will be required to just put in place basic infrastructure in some of these areas. And this presents an opportunity for not just governments, it also presents an opportunity for startups. It presents an opportunity for different players, investment bankers even, or other companies, organizations to emerge and begin to solve some of these problems. I like this slide that Dr. Rolf shared. He shared some of the opportunities that exist. It could be smart water, it could be smart waste. it could be smart energy, smart waste, and many other opportunities, just around the provision of basic infrastructure or services in some of these areas. So this is a reality and the serious implications for this urbanization, because if this is not resolved, we may see challenges that may even manifest in some diseases, as you have seen in a country like Zimbabwe, for example, where we have experienced cholera, we have experienced diarrheal diseases, and these are very much medieval diseases and primitive diseases that must not really be experienced in a modern state, but we have seen that as a consequence of the rapid urban migration as infrastructure is under a lot of pressure. Next slide, please. So these are some of the problems. I've already mentioned some of them, and I'm taking a case study for Zimbabwe, for example. We've seen illegal dump sites everywhere you go. The city is not able to pick up refuse. There are dilapidated incinerators, so there's no incineration facilities in some areas, and there is broken broken assets for the picking up of waste. To give you context and perspective, in Harare, for example, today, Harare requires as much as 50 compactors for refuse collection, but only 5 are functional at the moment. So there's total incapacitation and total service failure in the cities in Africa today because of the rapid urbanization. Next slide, please. So these are some of the challenges I already mentioned, but again, the challenges can be converted into opportunities and problems. And that is why businesses like ourselves, Clean City, which we established, we have started to play in the waste space. We are doing recycling through the building of material recovery centers. We're moving into clean energy, smart energy, which Dr. Rao spoke about. We're also delivering water through Clean City, our business, and other cleaning services. And all these are addressing a number of sustainability development goals, as you can see in that chart over there, be it addressing employment. We employ over 5,000 people in this space, just trying to solve some of these problems, but we're also ensuring the good health for people. Cholera, for example, killed over 4,000 people in 2008. It went on to kill over 50 people in 2018. And that's when we realized we needed a clear pathway to resolving some of these issues. And that's why our business, Clean City, which is basically a digital platform, was born. And this is where high tech comes in to help to solve some of these problems. Next slide, please. So the future is pretty much digital, and that is why I'm talking about what high tech can do, what technology can do. Technology is an accelerator. Technology is an enabler. It helps us to do things much faster than we could. So the expansion or the proliferation of digital in Africa today, particularly ushered in by mobile networks, has provided a window for Africa to be able to solve some of the rapid urbanization challenges, be it the expansion of mobile connectivity. You have seen the proliferation of digital solutions in basic services, in energy, pay-as-you-go solutions for water, pay-as-you-go solutions for energy, pay-as-you-go solutions for refuse collection, and even for transport. So definitely there are opportunities, and we believe digital is the game changer, because while the future is urban, we believe that the future is also equally digital. And this is where digital comes in and helps to solve some of the persistent social problems that are born or birthed out of the rapid urbanization. Next slide, please. So some of the things, like I quickly mentioned just now, is the pay-as-you-go solutions. Pay-as-you-go solutions for energy through solar panels, feeding into the grid through smart meters, provision of water, again, fed into the national grid or the city council or municipal infrastructure through the use of smart meters. This is already happening in countries like Kenya. This is already happening in countries like Rwanda and in Zimbabwe, for example, we are already providing pay-as-you-go options for waste collection through our digital platform. And there's also GIS tracking to ensure that there's monitoring of the different basic amenities or infrastructure hotspots across cities, the mapping of hotspots, for example, base water pipes, dump sites. This can be mapped, cholera hotspots, this can be mapped by GIS using data. So this is how, high tech can begin to really come in and help with solving some of these persistent problems. Smart metering, IoT for traffic, IoT for water, IoT for even basic infrastructure like broken sewer, IoT for monitoring traffic lights, monitoring city cameras for security. So this is where IoT and also machine-to-machine connectivity can begin to help with some of the problems of urbanization in Africa. And of course, the role of big data. Big data will play a very big role, or is beginning to play a big role in terms of solving some of the challenges and ensuring that whatever is being done is data-driven, is insight-driven, to really begin to map the different challenges, but also the different opportunities through evidence-based policy making, as well as insight-driven intervention. This is absolutely critical going forward. So really the message is the future is very much around digital and using technology as a key accelerator and enabler. Next slide, please. So as you can see, the state of play in Africa today, there are a number of players, and Dr. Ralph have already mentioned some of those areas: sanitation, energy, water, transport, and waste management. And the number of players, as you can see, widespread across Africa in this yellow zone here. As you can see, a number of players, some in the water space, some in the energy space, some in the recycling space, organizations like ourselves in the e-logistics space, even the transport space, complementing or competing with companies like Uber, like what we're doing through our Via Mobility business, our Via e-logistics, our Clean City for water, our Clean City for waste and water in Zimbabwe. So this is really the state of play. So there are a number of innovators and disruptors that are emerging to address some of these challenges, pretty much driven by technology. Next slide, please. And just to sort of give a case study, there is the dirty reality of urbanization. And this is, the more people we have, the more municipal waste we have. And what we have there shows the state of play in terms of what is available in just the area of sanitization, because this is a big issue. And I thought to just, in closing, just share a little bit of case study, but also zeroing in on what we have actually done as Clean City. You can move on to the next slide, please. So what we have done, leveraging technology, we have created an ecosystem working with franchisees. These are community members in the different parts of the cities in Zimbabwe today. We have organized them into social franchisees. We have built a digital platform, and working on this digital platform, they are able to work on an Uberification model where we don't actually own the trucks that are being used to pick up the waste, but the trucks are owned by the community members or the franchisees, and these franchisees are collecting the waste and then dumping it into the dump sites. And all this is happening on digital, and the payments are also driven by a mobile payment platform called EcoCash. And then on the water, we've basically reverse engineered exactly the same model, but this time, instead of going to pick up waste, we are actually going to deliver water. Again, we have used the same platform, same architecture, working again with franchisees who are truck owners, Bowser owners who are delivering water. So this is how Clean City has basically been solving some of the problems in Zimbabwe today. Next slide, please. In conclusion, great opportunities definitely exist in Africa today. And we see these opportunities existing in some of the areas that also Dr. Ralph mentioned, And digital solutions are really at the center of this. And there will be need for a lot of collaboration, working with municipalities, mobile operators, and startups to help to provide some of these challenges. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Back to you, moderator Cynthia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lovemore, for that presentation, and also thank you for sharing your experience and expertise. There has been a lot of similarities in what Dr. Ralph said, and also Mr. Lovemore. They both agree that definitely the future in Africa is urban. Some of the most fastest cities around the world are actually in Africa. This does bring in a lot of pressure in amenities. And one of the things that Mr. Lovemore did point out is that they found that annually around $130 billion is required just for basic infrastructure. So there is a challenge right there, but I like what Lovemore and also Mr. Mbona both concluded and said that yes, there are challenges, but these are also opportunities for Africa. These are business opportunities, and he gave different examples of smart energy, waste collection, and so on. So that sums up our discussion for this session, but we will be back in, let me see, in actually 2 minutes. Remember, you can visit our website. You can also visit the exhibition site for even networking purposes as we wait for the next session that is going to come in the next 2 minutes. So we look forward to that segment. And the segment that we have is on trade and investment in Africa, coming up in 2 minutes. See you then.